Cape Cod Broadcasting weaves the listening environments of 99.9 WQRC, Ocean 104.7, WFCC Classical 107.5, Cape Country 104, and CapeCon.com's website experience to reflect the lifestyles of the people who live, work, and play on Cape Cod. We hope that you enjoy this podcast.
I'm Laura Reckford, and this is Sunday Journal. We are talking to all the candidates in contested local races in advance of the election on November 4th. One of the contested seats is the Plymouth and Barnstable State Senate seat, which has been held for 22 years by State Senate President Therese. The district covers Falmouth, Bourne, and Sandwich on the Cape, and Kingston, Pembroke, and Plymouth off Cape. State Representative Vinny deMacedo is the Republican running for the seat, and former State Representative Matt Patrick is the Democrat running for the seat. But there is also a third candidate, and I'm here in the studio with Heather Mullins, who is the Libertarian candidate for State Senate in the Plymouth and Barnstable District. Heather, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It truly means a lot, especially to third-party candidates like myself who we really hope to make a name for us.
Now, you're new to politics. Let's start with you introducing yourself to voters. Tell us about yourself, where you live, what you do for a living.
Well, I'm 23 years old, and I was born and raised on Cape Cod. It's home to me, and I care about everybody here so incredibly much. And I've worked actually a handful of jobs, everything from being a cashier to working for an insurance agency, being a receptionist for a doctor's office, as well as doing some work for an auctioneer. And I can honestly say there's not one job that I ever worked harder at. I work equally as hard at all my jobs. And, you know, I want to be a voice for people that work a variety of jobs to know that, like, we're no less qualified to run for positions, you know, in politics. And we have things that we can bring to the table because, you know, politics are a wide variety of topics. There's everything from healthcare to education to environmental issues. And so, you know, when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, no one person has experience in all of those areas. So it's really important that we have somebody that is willing to listen as much as they do speak and hear from all the people of all these different professions and walks of life and bring these ideas up to Beacon Hill.
Now, do you have any experience serving on committees or other elected offices or even volunteering or community work of any kind?
I do, and it's funny because, like, one of my things is I hate talking about myself. Like, I really feel like there's so much time to spend talking about issues, but, I mean, I volunteered and I coached the Special Olympics for a few years when I could. I was a single mom going to school. I worked 3 days a week and went to college 2 days a week, and then 3 nights a week I'd pick up 2 special needs athletes and go over to Mattakese Middle School and worked with them, and we actually competed in the Special Olympics. I was a unified partner, so we went all the way up to Harvard. It was amazing, and I love those guys, but I do that as a person, not as a politician, so it's like I don't want people to vote for me because of those things. I want people to vote for me because of my ideas and, you know, what I have to bring to the table.
Now, you're 23 years old, you say, with no political experience. How did you end up running for state senate?
I get asked this question a lot. I get a lot of people saying, you know, why did you run at such a young age? And when I look around, you know, I don't believe political experience is necessarily what makes somebody more qualified for a position up on Beacon Hill or, you know, more likely to create positive changes. I think that it's more or less somebody's character. You know, are they the type of person that, like, you know, do they work hard? Are they humble? Do they care about those around them? And, you know, me as a person, like, I get a lot of value out of, you know, how much I positively impact those around me. I mean, do I leave a good impression? Did I wake up and do the best I could each day in making it better for not just myself, but for those around me? And so, you know, running, when I look at all of the different obstacles and experiences that I've had in life and how I've, you know, no matter how bad they were, I take everything that's negative and I turn it into a positive. And I really want to be, you know, that person that can inspire people to do the same. And, so I feel like there's so many ways that, you know, my lack of political experience is actually an advantage as opposed to a disadvantage because I don't know anybody up there. I am an independent soul, and I can go in there and just, you know, think for the people. And I have pure intentions and going into this. And I brought so many ideas to the table and put so many hours into studying these topics. And if there's anything I don't know yet, it's only because I haven't had the time to devote to the issues. And, being elected as a state senator would give me so much more time to put into these issues that I take so seriously. And I really want to make the lives of everybody else like that much better, even if it's just the smallest way.
Now, you're running as a Libertarian. What is your political philosophy?
My political philosophy, the great thing about Libertarians, actually, is not many people know what the Libertarians are, or what we stand for. Sometimes people are like, oh, so you're a liberal. And I'm like, well, not quite. The Libertarian is great because there's a lot of people in the Libertarian Party who I guess you would say are farther right, others are farther left. And the great thing is that we all establish common ground in establishing principles like liberty. Like, we believe that we should have more choices, like individual choices, individual responsibilities, and that some of these things that we debate about, are all across the board, from the right and the left. And what we do is we put everything on the table. No idea. We don't write off something and say, oh, well, that's just too far left. We're not even going to entertain that thought. Or that's too far right. We're not going to entertain it. Which you kind of have with these two major parties. We put everything on the table and we sift through all the ideas and we communicate so much better for the sole fact that we've established common ground in sharing these basic principles. We just differ and communicate and debate ways on how to achieve them. So,
I'm Laura Reckford, and this is Sunday Journal. I'm talking to Heather Mullins, who is running for state senate in the Plymouth and Barnstable district on the Libertarian ticket. Now, Heather, what do you think are the most pressing issues in the district that you could help with if you were elected as state senator?
There are so many pressing issues, and if you ask from person to person, each one will probably have a different pressing issue. Some, for me, are things like, we need to start distinguishing our wants from our needs. And as a state senator, I noticed that a lot of things come up about third bridges or commuter rails and, things like this. But for me, I think there's certain prioritizing that's needed up on Beacon Hill, like environmental issues. I mean, you look at the quality of our waters, here on the Cape. And when you look at the Cape, when so much of our economy is based off tourism in the summer, that if we don't solve water issues, I mean, that can have drastic consequences in the future if we just keep putting them on the back burner and, keep investing our energy and resources into things that are more or less wants as opposed to needs. So a lot of the issues for me are, I guess three main issues would be the environmental issues that need to be taken care of, the dangerous increasing state budget that seems to be impacting the middle and lower classes with all these new taxes and fees. I mean, we could debate, the gas tax that's on the ballot and the bottle bill. And if you look at both of them, it's basically they're both the same thing. It's adding more money. It's taking more money from people that are already paying an arm and a leg and putting all kinds of money into this pot, and there's no need for it. There's a lot of misspending, and so those would be two of my biggest issues is the environmental ones, then obviously freeing up all of these resources and cracking down on the misspending.
Now, on your website, one of your main issues is, and I'm quoting, protect our right to raise our children. And you say that in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, again, I'm quoting, has started to interfere with the way we want to raise our children. What do you mean by that? Explain that to us.
Oh, there's so many things in terms of children. I mean, I have a beautiful, beautiful 5-year-old daughter, and she's smart, she's sweet, love her to death, and I hope I make her proud. One of the big things that actually pushed me to want to run, to want to get up and be the change that I want to see in the world was what happened to a young girl named Justina up at Boston's Children's Hospital, where this family that had done so much for their daughter, she actually was diagnosed by a Tufts doctor as having mitochondrial disease. And when she had gone to Boston's Children's Hospital, a team of doctors within 3 hours re-diagnosed their child. And when they decided they wanted to take their daughter back to Tufts to their first doctor, they were met by security at the hospital, and their daughter was subsequently placed in DCF custody. They fought for over a year. Their daughter was 14 at the time, and it took over a year before the family was finally reunited with their daughter. And, she spent birthdays and Christmases like this poor girl in a psych ward. And I look at that and I'm like, how is it that, the state can pick up our children like that? Like, do we not have the right to choose, like, what doctor we're going to allow to diagnose our children? Like, do we not care more about our children than anybody? Like, I mean, I would never, ever take a parent's right to know what's best for their children away from them. And that, for me, is huge and a very scary thing that threatens just about every parent in the Commonwealth. That any day we could walk into a hospital or doctor's office, and if we don't agree with, one doctor over the other, then we lose our children.
Now, another one of your platform issues is protecting our right to protect our children, as you put it, and explain that a little bit.
Protecting our right to protect our children was kind of like, there's a lot of like gun laws in Massachusetts, and I will definitely admit that I'm, one of those people that I feel like if anybody's going to protect my daughter, it's going to be me. And if there's dangerous people on the streets, then we need to look at, how these people ended up back on the streets, and like all these gun laws and allowing police chiefs to have sole discretion of, who can own a firearm and who can't. Like, this is a really dangerous thing to do. Well, our police chief could be the greatest person in the world. Like, no disrespect to them, but what we've done is we've allowed like one person to basically stand between us and our right to protect our children. Because if somebody were to break into my home, or if somebody were to threaten my daughter, rest assured that if I'd be the first one to protect her, and I know everybody else would be the same way. And so if parents are having a harder time or a more difficult time in obtaining firearms, if they choose to, it's everybody's choice if they want to own one. I mean, call 911, but they may not always make it in time, and it's that extra layer of security that we should have that right. And I just feel all these new regulations and stuff make it that much harder for good people to protect their families and exercise that right to do so in their own homes.
And in 10 seconds or so, any last words you'd like to say to listeners?
I'd like to say to listeners that, every single person that is listening here right now is just as capable as I am to be here and to run and to vote. And if you decide you don't want to run, then, I ask for your vote, because there's no, I have such pure intentions, and I completely, have poured my heart and fearlessly, deciding to run for office and putting everything I had out there for you guys. And, even if I don't win, I love you all, and I will continue to fight to make Massachusetts a better place. It means so incredibly much to me. And I thank absolutely everybody that has supported me until this point. Words can't even describe, how amazing it is. So I really hope that, I believe in miracles. I believe I really do have a chance of making it up to Beacon Hill, and I can promise and assure you guys I would work so hard, and I wouldn't let you guys down.
Heather Mullins, the Libertarian candidate for State Senate in the Plymouth and Barnstable District. Heather, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm Laura Reckford, and this is Sunday Journal.
This podcast is a presentation of Cape Cod Broadcasting, which is solely responsible for its content. Thank you for listening. For more information, please visit us at capecodbroadcasting.com.